It is the Fantasy Rugby Yanks. My name is Jared Dyke. I wanted to say it's stupid and let's move on, but then you kept going.
I'm Ben Glauser. I don't like any way anybody handled that.
Collusion. Hey everybody, welcome back. It is the Fantasy Rugby Yanks. My name is Jared Dyke.
I'm Ben Glauser.
Let's go. We got loads to talk about, even though there's only 3 matches this weekend, because as promised, we're gonna.
Well, they weren't that important matches or anything.
Nah, not at all. We're very good either.
I had to break character there. No, they were excellent. You shut up.
Yeah. Fuck,
right.
We find us on your favorite podcast app. Share, download, rate, review.
Oh, that's good. This is dangerous. It's a Storm Along cider, as we all love Storm Along.
Right.
It's 8.8%. So
that's gonna.
I'm gonna be loose tonight.
Night, Ben.
This or that is going to be interesting.
Yep.
If you stick around for the fantasy corner.
For the FC, it's going to be fun. Oh yes, of course. By our good friend George, the Fantasy Rugby Geek of Coffee. He got back in action this past week. If you didn't notice, boy, it was a big one too. We had all kinds of fun stuff to talk about. We had Super Brew. We had there was a predictor pool, and there was also the pick 4, which I think a lot of us got involved in. So lots of stuff to cover, and he did it all. So
yeah,
make sure you support him by buying him a coffee or beer. As always, there is no discrimination on this podcast, nor should there be in sports or in life. It's been a big, and I know it's here in the U.S. and where else it is, I don't know, but the banning of books, and I'm not talking about just like, it's a lot into the new books, but still like anything that's older that portrays things a certain way. Thank you, you bunch of conservative dickheads. If you're not white, you're not straight. You can't be in a book, basically.
Right. Exactly. That's basically what it is. It's like, we don't want to teach kids that it's okay to be this way. And not only that, and I get, at least in Florida, this is happening, where the governor is saying, under penalty of prison, teachers and librarians can't have specific books which do not meet his political approval in their classrooms for display, even. And what the fuck?
There's a lot of people that like to do this thing in history, and they usually end up coming out the bad guy.
Right. And here we are. What makes me really pissed about it is that you don't hear anything from anybody about it. Like, it's reported in the news sometimes, but it's not as if, like, Joe Biden had a State of the Union last night. Mm-hmm. Did he mention that? Because that's something that's important that's happening in our union right now.
Indeed, it is.
And I don't think, I'm not, whatever, I have things to criticize him about, of course, but that's kind of a big thing, right? This should be something that the people in charge of our country should be railing against. And it's just not happening. And that's scary, to be honest.
Yeah. There's a particular fella that was the leader of a country and did this type of thing. And I think his name was Hitler. Right. And I'm not going to say that this guy is exactly that, but fuck, we're on our way there.
That's the point. They didn't start with the end goal, right? They started, they moved the needle. They moved the needle. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it started with, and fuck, you look at the hold on,
you can do it.
So it's like the hold on, let me get it right. First They Came poem by Pastor Martin Niemöller. Like, first they came for the communists, and I didn't speak out because I was not a communist. And they came for the socialists. I didn't speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak out because I'm not a trade unionist. And then they came for the Jews, and then they moved on. They're running the same goddamn playbook, right?
Yep.
Communists and socialists obviously are out here anyway. Unions are down. There's a good reason they're under attack, right? And now we're talking about different segments of society that are under attack, and it's blacks, Indigenous, pretty much anybody who's not a straight white Christian. Like, this is not fear mongering. This is what's actually happening. And I'm glad Jared brought this up tonight, because that's like, obviously, because that whole "I was not a Jew" part, like, the same people who aren't, that's what I'm seeing right now, is the same people who aren't speaking out about this stuff won't speak out when it's my turn or your turn, Jared. I don't know what they would have on you, but I'm sure they'd find something.
They can find plenty, I'm quite sure.
Right. So it's like, who's going to speak up for us if nobody's speaking up for the people that aren't being spoken up for now? And that's, to me, the scary part. And that's why we have this segment, because it's not cool. Like, we want, like, they get their way, people die. We get our way, and everybody actually can just coexist peacefully, and nobody's forced to do things they don't want to do.
Yeah, kind of. I like the the notable difference there, and one of them is everybody doesn't die.
Right. Like, how hard is this? When people say pick a side, those are the sides.
Yeah.
you can't kind of straddle the line there. So, pick the right side.
Yeah, please.
Agreed. Sorry for ranting on that. As I usually do.
It was worthy. It was worthy.
It's meaningful to me. Not, well, just as meaningful, I'd say. A little bit more meaningful, but still just as meaningful as rugby. And I guess our Patreon account. Yes, our Patreon account.
Yes, Patreon.
Yeah, get it in while we still have fantasy rugby for the Prem. Drink more.
Yeah. I'm hoping we can find an answer soon, because while we're talking about it, I do want to dive into a little bit. We had we had people talking about fantasy teams during Six Nations. Like, number one, that is cool, and that is really great, cool. And you want fan engagement, and you want people to talk about it more and more and more. That is such an easy thing to do. And again, I'm not over the moon by any means whatsoever with the Six Nations official, and then obviously the Autumn Nations series as well. Don't love it, but goddamn, if that's the only thing that I had to play for Prem, I would do it in a heartbeat, and I'd spread the word like wildfire.
Yep. And this, I guess the way I would put it is, I don't quite love the game itself, but I love that they have it, and it's fun to do. Like, yeah, it's kind of. It's an interesting take on the fantasy team, and it's kind of similar to TRM, but yeah, it's done obviously a different way. The points are can be a little silly at times, but that's kind of what makes it fun, because it's not like, oh, this guy's gonna have a good game. You don't know, because the points are so freaking weird.
Yeah, so a little wonky sometimes.
Right.
It's still good.
But it's still good. It's engagement. It takes, I have the Six Nations site up on one of my tabs for the next month plus. It's just going to be open.
Totally.
So that means it's, like constant, like, ads and stuff like that are going to do whatever. Yeah. You want that kind of engagement, premiership.
And if it makes us all a bunch of king dorks, I'm in. I don't care. Hey Siri, show me how to out yourself as a complete knob without telling everyone that you're a complete fucking knob.
Right.
Like, come on.
The funny thing is that it's mostly people who have played rugby in the past who do it. And the people who were saying that have never played rugby before. So that's like, you're going to call us dorks. Like, first off, if it's kind of the way it goes. Somebody like calls you a dork on a rugby pitch, that you laugh. That would be silly. So yeah, call me a dork. I don't care. It's fun.
Man.
Get over it.
I mean, I have my issues with that show. Anyway,
yeah.
I swear, and I'm not trying to like pump us up or anything like that. We came in and they like disliked that we were in that chat, so they just like threw that out there. I was like, really?
Yeah,
like
okay.
What? Because we got everybody excited about Six Nations fantasy. It was like,
and Six Nations. Yeah, there's like
Six Nations in general, but yeah, Six Nations fantasy. Like, what? It only helps.
There hasn't been much conversation about like in that chat about the even the premiership. It's like they kind of every so often somebody posts something, but it's like people started talking about the rugby a lot more. So that's actually kind of nice. And yeah, part of it was fantasy, and that's part of the engagement to it.
You want people to talk about it,
Yeah.
So just let's talk about it
right,
more.
don't knock engagement.
Yeah, don't.
If everyone's having a good time, there's no reason to be a poopy pants.
Nope. As long as everyone's having a good time, there's no reason to be a poopy pants.
Right. And everyone's having a good time.
Everyone was having a great time.
Turner's most definitely having a good time. Okay. On
so
to
that. Let's go to our. Yeah, I was just looking at the eventual Hugh Jones try. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, I have the Italy France match on. We've already watched that one.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go to the transfer roundup because we promised we haven't been talking about it. Yeah, we haven't talked a whole lot about things. There's other things to talk about, like coaches and stuff as well. So we'll get there. We won't spend an enormous amount of time on this, but it's worth it.
Right, because there's some big names that'll be talking about for next year coming in and changes the face of the league in some ways. So
absolutely. Let's start with Bath. Obviously, the big name is Finn Russell coming in. Yes, Finn's 30 at this point, but still, he's Finn, and I don't think age is really going to stop Finn Russell for a good another 5 years.
Right, because I mean, even this, in the England match, he wasn't like making plays with his athleticism. He was making plays with his distribution, which was fantastic. And that's going to take a while to go away. Right. Even if he becomes like, he could be Jimmy Gopperth.
Yeah.
But I think a more creative version of Jimmy Gopperth, but same kind of thing if he wanted to, because he has fun doing it too. Totally. That's the best part. He's one of the I love watching him because he's having fun and making it fun. And Bath, this is what I mean by changing the face of the league too, because Bath, I mean, yeah, they're what? They're not really losing much either.
And nothing on the way out that's really of note.
And they have so much talent.
They do.
So yeah, good. Yeah, I'm excited to see what they bring just with the Finn change.
Totally. Bristol, we got news actually this week of one new name that's coming in. We already know Malins is coming in.
Yeah.
Revolvo's coming in though.
Yeah.
He's obviously going to be the ideal replacement for Semi, but
right. Just another playmaker in the backs.
And this is what's so great about the Drua team as well. This is getting more of those guys noticed, and obviously it's getting them all play time, which is great. That's only going to help Fiji, but it's also getting these guys more noticed. Like they're not playing in some shit kicker league,
right?
They're playing in Super Rugby. It's a notable league. It's not nothing. And for these guys, and Revolvo was definitely one of the more standout guys. No
really
question.
Was.
So
yeah.
I will definitely try and acquire him on my FRD team.
Exactly. Assuming there's a
there is Super FRD. So
that's right. That's right. We'll still get that.
We'll get that. The outs for Bristol. Rads is hurtful.
It is.
Porter's only there temporarily, and Whiteley's gone now. Joe Joyce is a big name, obviously. He's a big
name. But they've got guys who can replace him.
They do. No question about it.
It's not no disrespect to Joe Joyce, but he's 29, he's gonna be 30, and he's had a great career there, and
he's the king of Bristol.
Yeah, he always will be too. So
that won't change.
Right. It will not change. Always be loved there. So whatever. And they have guys who can play. And that's the other thing is the guy like that, you don't want to end up rotting on your bench. That's not right for anybody. So you do right by him and tell him, look him in the face and say, this is where we're looking in the future. And if you want to look elsewhere, look elsewhere. And obviously that conversation was had and he made his decision. That was, I like it. I think he'll do well at Connacht too. He's Absolutely. He's perfect for Irish rugby.
Yeah, he'll be great. Down to Exeter. It's the exits. There's not a lot of incomings. There's almost none.
No.
It's a sign. We've said it before. It's a sign. Yeah. Joe Simmons going to Pau. Sam Simmons going to Montpellier. Kirsten's on his way out. Ewers is on his way out. Van Heerden's already left.
Yep.
LCD out. Harry Williams, not that he's worth a fucking thing. He's out.
Right. But they signed Hodge, which obviously
they kept Hodge, which I was a little shocked by it, but at the same time, like, okay, you did one smart thing. Congratulations.
Right. Yeah. I just don't get it. Like, I mean, I get it because it's like I don't think they have a great culture there, and you can tell because of the chant they still do. That they're not honest, and yeah, I don't know. Do they do for as much as Rob Baxter wants to blame Saracens for things, and he still does. I think even in the midst of all this, he decided to bash Saracens again because it's it's the one thing that he can know that people will be like, yeah, fuck Saracens, but at the same time it's like, yeah, but kind of fuck you too. So it's like it's becoming that way, which is kind of cool. It's like, right, it's like you're really bringing this up again, like obviously you're fucking something up. Like
agreed. Yeah, something that's not a major moral issue by any means. Right. That's ongoing still. Let's put it that way.
And it's not like these guys are old. Like Sam's 28. Simmons is Joe is 26.
Joe's 26, which that's kind of like that should be an alarm right there. Like, okay, dumbass Davies 32, move him on. Harry Williams is useless, move him on. LCD, he was going to move on after the World Cup anyway, so whatever. That is what it is.
Because he's going to be done at the international level. So yeah, he's going to go off somewhere else. Like, but Sam Simmons and Joe Simmons, that's the crazy thing is those are both potential England players. And they're both like, yeah, screw, whatever. I'm going to go make some money. Like they would rather do that than play for England and play for Exeter, or like attempt to play for England. Like it's just I don't know. Unless Sam is figuring that he's not really going to be in the mix for the next World Cup.
Well, anyway. Joe's never been in the England eye, unfortunately. No. I do think there were seasons where he should have got a shout and he didn't.
Agreed. But why are they not what they used to be anyway?
Everybody's got them figured out. Really.
Yeah, that's true.
Really, everyone's got them figured out, and they're holding on. They've held on to this group for probably a little too long, really.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like that's the problem is that, you've been relying on Ewers and Kristen for so long, and it's like neither of them are very good. Like, what are you developing? Why? There's like Capstick. Why didn't he get more playing time? Why?
Absolutely.
Like,
you rely on these people. Extension yet?
I'm not certain.
Man, if he hasn't got an extension yet, I would be on the way out the door if I were him.
Right?
I mean, maybe he can be that guy in the back row for them now, but fuck.
Yeah, no, it looks like Hodges. Well, at least for now, Hodges they're only. Yeah. So, hey, it's one of these. I'm not I'm kind of shocked to see it, but I'm not surprised. And especially as the exodus kept going on, it's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it just seems to be a snowball here.
Yeah,
just keeps going and going. Let's go out to let's have a look at the guys out at Kingsholm. Mercer coming in is obviously the big one.
He's terrible. Wait, no, the opposite of that.
The opposite. Ready-made replacement in the England squad potentially as well.
Oh. Please, that's so delicious. Can he play for them in the World Cup because he's signed with
yes,
baller move.
It's up. That's up to Steve Borthwick.
Right.
Seabrook on the way out, which I didn't realize how young he was. He's 24.
How is he 24?
He feels like he's been around 34. A while. Yeah, I agree. And that's what caught me off guard there.
Because he plays like a 34-year-old. Like he's not.
Sometimes he does.
Like he's not so fast. He's not so athletic, but he's like cagey and wily, like a veteran. So I figured it was in his 30s. That's nuts.
Did not know he was that young.
Yeah,
but that's pretty much. And then Gloucester have obviously done a good job of. They've already brought in McGuigan, and they've been hanging on to as many guys as they can.
Yeah.
The Harlequins, big name coming in, Joe Launchbury. That's gonna just make their life infinitely easier.
It'll make it easier. Row. Yeah, but I don't know at 30, 32 what.
It's a veteran presence.
It is a veteran,
and it's a guy that's done a lot of good both for Wasps and for England in his career. So
right.
You look for that.
Yeah, right. No disrespect intended. It's just that I'm looking at his style of play and Harlequin's style of play. So that makes me wonder what we're gonna, how much are we gonna see of him? But at the same time, like you said, veteran presence. Levis can't stay healthy, unfortunately. So it's like you need a leader who's around.
Yeah, or playing. Not banned.
Right. That too.
Will Porter in as well. That's an interesting one because you have Steele and you have Sheltema. I
Mhm.
wonder what that says to those guys.
I mean, have you watched them play? I don't think much more needs to be said to those guys.
So it's obviously a knock on the head. Like, hey, we're bringing in this young, damn good scrum half
right
to play. To potentially take that 9 shirt when Danny Kerr decides it's time. And I
think that's the right, because he's very much a Danny Kerr type player. So let Danny Kerr train his replacement, and because Jaltema's shown flashes, Steele has been okay.
Yeah, Porter it's definitely Jaltema over Steele, though.
Yeah, I agree. And I would take Porter any day over either of them.
Yeah, so. I think I would too. I agree.
Yeah. To me, the big thing with Harlequins is the guys who are leaving.
Yeah, big ones: Marchant and Tommy Allen, Wilco Lowe.
Right. And Bassett,
and even Bassett's been a pretty good already, asset since he's got there.
Oh no,
asset.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what.
Yeah, like Marchant leaving is also another shock. Like 26 years old, like still young. It's kind of
Did that happen before? Did that happen before?
Yes.
Eddie was fired.
I say I know where you're going with this. Yes.
Yeah. And then maybe that's part of it.
It is. It is.
Because he wasn't getting a look. So it's like, all right, well then I'm out of here.
Yeah. So part easily could have that finger pointed.
We'll talk about the impact of that in a little bit.
Indeed. Leicester, ins and outs all over the place, but the big one, they're getting some back 3 players. Hathaway's coming in, and then we got some outs. Like obviously we know Wiggles is done, Freddie's out. Those are some big ones. Nadolo's already left. Hegarty's already left. So really, it's not losing a ton. No disrespect to those guys, but gaining some decent players. Hathaway was kind of touted as potentially being somewhere around the England squad, which
but Bassett and Hassel Collins.
Hassel Collins is huge.
Like that's that. Yeah, they need that. That's going to be huge, and Bassett too, because that's another. It's the one thing that Exeter lack right now is really depth at wing, and this is instant. Not only the front line, like your top line starter, but Bassett is a good, even if you just use him as a rotational winger, because he's in his 30s now. He's not getting any faster, unfortunately. No disrespect again to the doggy, I love him. But like he's going to be a great depth player and a guy to have around to also mentor Hassel Collins in a way. Because Bassett was like this close to being him, and it just never really panned out. So definitely help provide some perspective to the young man who's right now would prefer to wear brown pants out there.
Yeah, sometimes. sometimes. Let's scroll down to the place that Hassel Collins is leaving.
Yeah.
Not a ton coming in as of yet.
But they don't really. Yeah, they need another 10, although if maybe Jennings takes that over, it would be great. Yeah. Their centers are pretty tight.
Yep.
But yeah, losing Hassel Collins and Parton.
And Parton's not an amazing loss. Parton, I think of Tom Parton from like, what was it, 3 years ago or so, where he was on fire. And that's the Tom Parton I know they want to see again. They haven't seen him. And then Arundel rolled around, and that was kind of the end for Parton.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, we got this guy who does what you could do occasionally. He does it all the time.
And he's lightning in a bottle too on top of that.
Yeah, because Parton can be that. And maybe Saracens can get him to that again. We'll see.
Up to the tune,
not much
other than McGuigan's leaving. Like that's kind of the big one.
So,
and obviously he's gone already, but point being, he's out, and that's kind of the news. And everybody else, like they're just not a club that runs on a big budget. They're definitely one of the clubs that will always not be well under the cap, so they don't need to not one to worry about too much.
Exactly.
Northampton, not a lot in, but notable in. Langdon and Odendahl being the two big ones. because they need more help in the midfield.
Oh yeah, they do.
and
Odendahl looked really good for Wasps before
when he was
that
there,
all,
yeah, I was.
yeah.
I mean, he's in Japan just making some cash right now, but
right,
he'll be back.
Yeah.
I like Langdon in a lot of ways. I didn't realize he was that young.
Mm-hmm.
For the sake of you consider who their backups are right now, because Sam Matavesi's been hurt for a bit,
Mm-hmm.
and it's definitely shown up.
Yeah,
and it's
Cupboards
sorry, Mikey Hayward's just not what he used to be, and
no,
he was never that good, but he was usually solid. And they don't have Hartley anymore, and obviously he's long gone. Just they need somebody not named Sam Matavesi in case Sam Matavesi is broken, hurt, or having a bad year.
Yep,
one or the other. And that's a nice little bit of cover that they got there.
I guess the way I'd put it is Langdon is around Jag. I think Jag is a little bit harsh for him, but that's still a big step up from anybody else the Saints have.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think with some good coaching, because the one thing we know Northampton can teach is how to attack, and that's pretty much every player that's out there. So with that, I think he'll learn how to be a little bit more dynamic with ball in hand and in attack, and because he's already a good defender, he's a decent thrower of the line out. So really, the last thing he's got to develop is just the attack.
Yeah,
the Duhan run.
Oh.
It's still fun to watch. I could watch that a few times, and it's still fun to watch.
Because when I was rewatching it, I kind of stopped every line break, kind of mid line break, and I was watching. I was like halfway through that, and but that's when I realized, wait a minute, this is the play he scored on. Like I'm like, holy shit, because he was like, he was running kind of into some trouble, and I was like, wait, he scored
what,
like
4 or 5.
That's how amazing it was. Even when I'm rewatching it, I'm like, oh right, this is when this was 5. That. Just
he made 5 people miss.
Well
done. Ridiculous.
All right.
Sale, nothing. Joe Simpson's already retired. Ryan Mills is already there. Could there be more on the way? Yes.
Yeah, I would hope.
They're kind of going to get a new player in a way when their Prem returns, because George Ford, I think, is going to be healthy.
Right.
And this will be the first action he sees since becoming a Sale player. So
yes,
that'll be interesting to see.
That's now Sale are scary.
God that makes them, and as long as Quirky's healthy, that's really scary. Series, not a ton of action. We know Max has left. Obviously, that is sad news.
Yeah,
Tom Willis,
but
wearing black and red is going to be fucking awesome.
Because you know what Saracens don't have enough of, and that's clutch players who
back row players that just destroy people.
Right.
Theo.
Right. And they need another guy who'll get a turnover at the drop of a hat. You're looking at Theo, Tom Willis, and Ben Earl as maybe a 6, 7, 8 right there. Have fucking fun with that.
Yeah. It's pretty nuts. Yeah. And you know that somebody's gonna be leaving. I get the sense that it might be Jax, which sucks. But it also
I'm guessing, I think Billy Jax is retiring.
It also might be Billy. So
it could be,
we'll see.
I think
they held on to Daly, Earl, and Jinx. And I know that the 2 of those guys are a little older, and they actually extended Shagan as well.
Oh, which is nice.
When he's on, he's on. And he's fine.
Yeah, Malon's leaving will give him more time too. Yeah.
We have a few others we can talk about internationally. The 2 that come to mind for me right now, and actually I just saw a couple more that hit, but that's post World Cup. Mwanga's gone to Japan.
Oh yeah, fucking everybody's leaving for Japan.
Right, and a post World Cup that makes sense, but Mwanga's already gone.
Yeah,
he would rather play in Japan and not worry about playing on the World Cup for the All Blacks, which we know the All Blacks culture has kind of gone downhill for a while now, and this speaks highly to that. And then not highly, I mean, doesn't speak highly of it, but it speaks loudly to it. There we go. That's the one I'm thinking of. And it's not good. Well, it really isn't.
So this is to me where like the Belichick type coach kind of does something where it's like you have these rules that you make, and then when you start breaking them because you think you're above the game, it's like you have the rules for a reason. And wasn't I haven't memorized legacy somewhere. Apologies, but which rule was don't be no dickheads allowed?
No dickheads, yeah, somewhere around 7 or 8, I think.
And it's like, well, look who you got. You got a bunch of guys there's quite a few guys on that team who are just dickheads.
Yeah, Frizzell and Reese being the two that are
the two main ones,
big ones for me. Like,
and it's like, why? You have tons of wings, you have tons of back row players.
Yeah. And honest to God, you have one of the better, you have a ton of back row players, but you also have one of the better players in the world that can go from lock to back row, and that's Scott Barrett as well. Right. So should you need a bigger body at 6, he is unquestionably, for me, got to be one of the names that goes right to the front of the list, not named Frizzell.
Right, or Peter Gus.
But Peter Gus
and he left too. Right.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, why would you not keep him around? Yeah. Like you choose the dickheads over the guy. And I'm losing it because I haven't thought of Super Rugby in a while. Who's the center who left? Was it Leonard Brown? Oh, Lemape. Yeah, that's right.
The big Hurricane center. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing for Tonga now.
Right. And yeah, you just push guys who you could really use away. and for what? Not good.
Yeah, it's a little sad in a lot of ways.
But all the players who was it Aaron Smith?
He's going next year. Yep.
Yep. So the Bodie. Right. Bowden's going. I think there's a couple more Chiefs that are going up too, and Vitalik's going now. Yeah.
They're gonna need to bring it. I get the sense that they're still a scary outfit when they have their day.
Of course.
But I get the sense that after this World Cup cycle, they're gonna have to really address something, because I don't know if they're gonna be that scary ever again.
There's no more mystique
unless they change.
Yeah. Yep. The mystique won them so much. Just that alone, because you're playing again. It's one, you're you see the haka, and it's less the haka and more that that's the real truth of it. You're playing the All Blacks, and that's something. Now it's like, okay, you're playing the All Blacks. It's a tough team. All right, we got to play our A game, and we'll win. It's not boys, if we don't play A plus and then some, we're not winning this game. That's what that used to be, just playing New Zealand, and it's not there anymore.
No, it's not. Yeah, Peter Gus is the example of why the new rule exists for being able to switch your country allegiance. Mm-hmm. And people want to bitch about it, but they're mostly old heads.
Yeah.
It's for reasons like that. He gets picked once and he gets dropped forever, and then he can't play for anybody ever again.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
That is ridiculous. And there's a line between, okay, you kind of got the screws put to you, and you didn't put enough effort in to try and get more caps.
Mm-hmm.
This, to me, is very black and white and falls on the side of you got the screws put to you.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's in the middle, and that's gray area. Okay, fine.
Right.
We can I can live with the stuff that happens in the gray area to help out players like Peter Gus.
Yeah. And and there should be a pathway to to play for, if you have the possibility of playing for multiple countries, if your eligibility allows it, you should be allowed to. That's absolutely the way it should go. And especially if you get fucked over like that. Yeah. That's why would you limit players and teams because of that?
Yeah, it
doesn't
I
help
understand
anybody.
International rugby has this sacredness to it, but it's still, there's still no need to have guys like Ian Foster, Eddie Jones doing these things to these players where they pick them once and they drop them for the rest of their freaking career. Right. They're not eligible anywhere else because they have the one fucking cap. It sucks. Mm-hmm. If you even look at soccer, and this is not quite the perfect fit either, but you have to, because more matches in footy are considered friendlies.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a competitive match and you appear in that, then you're committed to that country. But if you appear in a couple of friendlies and you're like, fuck this, you can switch allegiances.
Yeah.
Once you get to 5, you're done. But
and then it also screws you, and we'll get into that. in a little bit too, but like Cameron Redpath, he goes and plays for Scotland, and because that's where he might play, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. I mean, he's still in the squad, but
He's
we'll
in
see
the
how much he
squad,
actually
and
plays.
there's much to. There'll be injuries. He'll be in.
Right, and they'll be right, and he'll grow as a player too. Like might not be this cycle, but then the 2027 cycle, he might be a major part of that because he's still really fucking young.
He's still
But
bloody good.
he'd be something. He'd be a player that should be in the England camp, but he wouldn't, because what the fuck? He wouldn't go. Like, why would he play for Eddie? Because that's he doesn't want to be a one and doneer. He wants to be somewhere and develop, and that's not Eddie's thing.
Right, and he made that decision before this type of role was brought in too. So.
Right. Exactly, because it was like, all right, I got no choice, so I'm just going to do this. Yeah,
And then, obviously, we had the coaching changes.
Mm-hmm.
The big thing we haven't talked about in terms of coaching is Eddie signing for Australia. And if you've been wondering when we're going to talk about that, here it is. We didn't have really, we knew we were going to take at least 10 minutes to talk about this, and we didn't really have 10 minutes to spare before. So.
Yeah. I think it's a bad move. I think it's a step down from Rennie.
I thought Rennie was doing a lot of good things, and I know it's hard to see that.
Yeah.
But he's
But who do they have? So now I go back to I was talking about this with one of my players the other day, and it was an interesting conversation because it was like Eddie likes his guys at certain positions and all that, but like, who's he going to pick at 10? Like,
God, I'm terrified about who he's going to pick.
And who's he going to pick it? Who's going to have at 9? Nick White? Like, you really think if Nick White team is going to threaten an English team? Like, no, Nick White's not that good. He's not that. I mean, he's not bad, but he's not at a prem level. Like he's not a great there. So
he had his day at the prem, and he was good when he was there. He's not there anymore.
He's not there anymore. And yeah, like, who's he going to develop? Like, they've got a lot of kids, and Eddie loves playing mind games and fucking with people. And it's like, is that gonna work with these kids? Like,
people are all the old players that used to play for Eddie from Australia are like, yeah, these kids are gonna be in for a wake. I'm like, I don't really believe in that shit, really.
Yeah. I think is he going to make them better players? Because what young
player
run them
into the ground and hurt them all? That wouldn't be a first.
and is he like, beyond that too? Who's he going to make better? Who did he make better from the England camp? He never let international players make mistakes. It was, you get 20 minutes to show me something. If there's something I don't like, I'm pulling in. You're never going back in again.
Right.
And that impacts, and that impacts the performance downstream of that now. Like, and we'll get into it when we get into the game. But like, how many players did England put out there who just haven't played enough, but show that they can do it at the international level, and yet they have 10 or fewer caps, sometimes only one, and it's like or not, and it's like, why do you have and even the guys who had all the caps, like the Ben Youngs, he was in the way out there when he played. Like, Dan Cole couldn't move around the pitch, like he was a strictly scrum to scrum guy. Like, none of the old, and obviously Noel and May had like a ridiculous amount of caps, which meant that a guy like Ali Hassel-Collins has not been capped yet, and Marchant has 13 caps, because we have to bow at the altar of Tuilagi and Slade, who neither of whom really contribute all that much at the prem level either. Like, game-changing players never got really a chance.
Yeah.
And now that they're getting a chance, there's going to be making mistakes. So it's like, what's going to happen there in Australia? Like, is he going to start limiting the young players and just trusting the veterans for this? Because their veterans aren't that fucking good.
No, they're veterans, with the exception of the few and far between. Like, I would call him Karevi all day.
Yes.
I think Karevi's a very, very good center. He makes any team he pops into better.
He does, but is he going to be allowed to carry the ball?
Oh, I don't know. I'm a little worried about what these guys expect of this.
Exactly. That's what I'm wondering. Like, what are you getting? Are you getting a guy who, like, I don't know. Again, the ego filled. I'm just gonna pick my guys and fuck everybody else, and I don't care what the product looks like. It's like, well, when you're losing games, that's kind of the problem. Yeah, and you're not blooding players.
No, and I know. Rennie was working on something, and like I said, I think this was not going to be a great World Cup cycle for Australia. They didn't even let him ride it out completely as the coach, so it's like,
right.
Yeah. And if we compare like Pivac to him, Pivac was hands down the worst of the two, and I think he was one of the worst international coaches we've seen for a while.
Agreed, and it's going to take Gats a little while to get that going. Like,
yeah,
just
really
bringing him in.
Shit up.
The players are so fucked there. So, but yeah.
So in terms of the two of them, and yes, I know they both lost to Italy, but Italy are on the up if we haven't noticed. And if I have to put it, we still had some great performances out of Australia this year. If I'm not, they won one. That was an ugly game, but those were all ugly games this past summer. The England games, but they won the first test against them. They should have beat the All Blacks. They beat South Africa. Yeah, they
well,
did.
How can you fire a coach who beats South Africa?
Right.
Like, because you know who can't beat, and like, so you fire a coach who beat South Africa, and you hire a coach who can't, like, couldn't with England.
Had a damn hard time. I think he won one of the autumn games with them,
right,
against them.
I mean, come on, but yeah, Rennie had a thing going, and I think Eddie's going to kind of like. Changing that is not the best idea. So I don't know. Eddie, Eddie could, if he's smart, he just continues doing that because that's what the players are used to and it's working, rather than, no, we're going to change to my system, which, hey, if that happens, then England won't have to worry about beating them in the knockout stages.
No. Let's go to Six Nations, Wales, all those folks. Let's go to Cardiff.
All right.
And Ireland. So I'm gonna go right into it. Like, of the 6 countries, Wales were the most dog shit.
They really were.
And I don't think that's a question.
No, they were terrible compared to the others. I mean, with
the exception of 25 minutes where Ireland were just really fucking dumb. Right. And I mean really fucking dumb. Like committing
they were coasting.
Penalties.
They were like, yeah, we're done. Let's try to have fun with it. And it was like, no, you can't do that in a competition like this. Because even Wales will work their way back into it. Yeah.
And the intentions were clear between the two of them. And I get the psychological battle that happens with players on the field when you feel like things are just going sideways. Does 3 really change your mindset that much? I'm not convinced it does. Maybe I'm nuts, but I don't think it does.
If I'm a forward, especially, and a front row forward at that, you know how angry I would be at all the work we had to do to get us down here. We're down 2 tries already, or 3 tries, or was it 2 or 3? Penalty was 14 minutes, so it was they're down 2 tries already. 14-0, and you're going to give me 3 points, and not only that, but now we're going to be back in our own end, because if I'm not mistaken, Sexton hit a penalty 19 minutes. So 5 minutes later,
penalty. So then it was the low intercept.
Yep.
And then it was another penalty from Sexton.
And that's game.
He also converted it. So it was like, yep, bye-bye.
That's game. Doesn't matter what. And thanks. We have 3 points for that. Like, it's so demoralizing. It's so demoralizing for a forward. And their forwards are already hurting as it is in this matchup. It's when you know the other team's forwards just outmatch you, it's already a sad state, because you have to work that much harder throughout the match, and to work that hard, and then hey, 3 points, yay! And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, let us score a try. Like, just give me the fucking ball, run it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
It's maddening. That's a forward's perspective for you.
Yeah, and every time Wales seemed like they were going to get going, they bottle it. Anytime they were in a good position, they bottle it, with the exception of the Williams try. That was about it.
Also, did you see the Tipperick or eye gouge?
I didn't catch it live, so
no, me neither. But I saw it on going around on the Twitters today. Looked, or maybe it was yesterday. Either way, it looked kind of nasty. So I don't know if he's getting cited for it.
I have no idea either.
We'll see. But Alan Wynne Jones, God love him. Not a 60-minute player, more of a 20-minute player at this point. But like, who else do they have? That was, obviously I had that question.
Jenkins is probably your best answer at this point.
Yeah, who actually didn't play too bad.
No.
Beard, he's like a ghost out there. I don't really see him doing much.
Don't tell Squidge that.
Like, I want to, like, exactly. Like, I don't see it. Maybe I'm just looking in the wrong places, but I'm looking at what Chasm did, and I'm looking at Adam Beard, and I'm like, no, there's one player here who gets my rugby wood up. Like, it's not Beard. Him. He's a jag, and doing the line. Basically and look, Itoje played like poo this week too. So he was they were both a little bit on the invisible side, but still, at least Itoje makes his tackles and doesn't look overmatched.
Yeah, and he's also world class.
He is
world class. So when he's on, there aren't many better than
right. But if we're talking about Adam Beard as a world class player, come on now.
So.
Right. That's where I'm going with it.
Yeah. And for the Irish, really, it was that, 20-minute period, and you had guys like Henderson, Porter, Aki just giving away hammerhead penalties. Porter was actually getting penalized a lot.
He was.
That was unhelpful. None of them.
He was lucky he didn't get carded just for
penalty, I think.
Yeah, there was a bunch of different ones, I guess. So
yeah. So kind of the ill discipline crept in, and that's what made it look like it might get interesting for a little bit for Wales. And then that final try, that everybody that carried the ball looked invincible. Sheehan was a beast. Hansen low. Van Cleer finished it with a walk-in, basically. Like, yep. I was like, that's the end. And it obviously stemmed a little bit from the card, which I thought of the 2-3 decisions that people were barking about. Porter on Adams was not a tip. Adams jumped into it. Can't jump into the tackle. And there's a line, I get it. That was definitely jumping into the tackle, though. So, and I know Porter's already down, so you can penalize him for not being on your feet, which is what he did. Right. So, congratulations, Dick Skin. You got one right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing we need to talk about.
You got all 3 of those right, honestly, in my opinion. Don't say the word yet. Don't say that word yet. Put a hex on us here.
Right.
But Henderson was reckless, but it wasn't dangerous per se. No. I'm okay with a penalty only.
Yeah.
And then the way the Liam Williams thing has been refereed, it's yellow.
Yep.
And that's where it's at.
That was that's right. Exactly. That was standard operating procedure there.
Right. I bet you have the same answers I do, because there's obviously a lot about Ireland that excites us. The one guy that excites you on Wales.
I'm thinking. I guess Lewis Rees-Zammit, and he's not on the pitch.
Well, same position.
Well, then Rio Dyer.
Yes.
And not that Josh Adams and Sanjay don't excite me, because that they're already established. I know what I'm getting out of them, and I like it. I can't wait to see when it's Rees-Zammit and Dyer out there.
That's gonna be fun.
That could be fun.
I agree. And is Joe Hawkins that much better than Nick Tompkins that Tompkins can't be in this team and improve it?
I think, especially if you're going to have the just non-attack that Wales have, you really want a defensive specialist out there at 12. And it's like, especially look at that back line. Look at the rest of them. I mean, Dan Bigger can be a distributor. He in theory. North at 13, any of those back three players that we were just talking about, and yeah, you're good. If you have a crash ball player that can play defense, that's what you want there, because that's the one thing you're missing is both of those things. Everyone else is good in space. You need someone who can really, attack the shoulder and gain, 5 or 6 meters in the tackle each time. Hawkins, I remember him getting stood up a lot, driven backwards a couple times. And I thought he was kind of a liability in defense. So that's where I would go with it. I go Tone.
He had 4 missed tackles.
Yeah.
So there you go. Tackle success rate of 64% is not amazing.
No.
Not in the middle. Not in the midfield. Not in the midfield.
Not against this team either.
Yeah, you can't do that against this team. They
can't be giving up those kind of missed tackles to McCluskey and Ringrose. That is. I
thought McCluskey played really well.
He did.
Well,
it helps when your opposition can't make a fucking tackle.
Right, it does. But he is that hard nosed midfielder that makes life miserable on anybody else, because he just runs at you and it's not fun to tackle him.
No, and yeah, it's not the first or the second. It's like
the 4th or 5th time when he comes at you, like, God damn it, we're still doing this thing.
Yeah. And then when it's like 70 minutes and you're like, he's still doing it.
Yeah, no shit.
Oh, it's the
Can we
worst.
stop yet?
Yeah.
I'm done.
Dude, I fucking get it.
I'm already sore. Leave me
How
alone.
about we just say I got low and I wrapped you up like I've done the first 10 times, but I haven't really done so much the last 5 or 6, and we call it a day.
Yeah, so well done to Ireland. That was a near complete performance from them. This weekend's gonna be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the one I've had on the background over here, Calcutta Cup, England and Scotland at Twickenham. A doozy of a match, number one.
How good was this match? Like, how well played was this match
obviously
overall?
England fans won't say so, but that's a different story for a different day.
Yeah, but whatever. This was an excellent match. This was an excellent display of rugby at a high level.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So it was a little loose, but that's the way that's also good rugby. So deal with it. Like, the looseness is part of the appeal. And it's also why we had 50, almost 60 points scored.
Yeah.
Right.
Brilliant stuff.
That's fun. Yeah.
It's great stuff.
And both teams played really good rugby. Yeah, they both made mistakes, but that's going to happen. That happens. That both teams made mistakes. Ireland made mistakes. It happens. I don't know why England fans get all like, but Don Brand had like 2 or 3 knock-ons. Yeah. And that's because he was everywhere and people were kind of feeding him last minute. It worked really well when Marcus did it. It's just he's got to work on his timing.
Where to be. Like that's that telepathy that the two of them have now, because they play on the same team.
But Don Brand has 7 caps.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
The game is still super fast for him, because he might have a cap or 2 a year. Like, he's not used to it. It still takes a little bit more time to get used to it, especially starting and playing 80. Well, he only played 56, but playing more than half. Fuck
yeah,
that's right. There's a lot to it.
He still had a lot of good things he did after he decided to bottle a couple of carries.
Right, he had a couple turnovers. He had some really good tackles, and did some really good rolling away when the referee was talking to him, where other players wouldn't have done. So I thought he
worked on the floor, which is something that won't show up on the stat sheet, but it needs to be noted when it is.
Right.
Yeah, I will say one of the knock-ons wasn't his fault. It was on the kick, and his guys were backing up into him, and he's like, "Dude, are you getting this, or am I?" Like, right. And that's a decision on both players, really. So a little 50%
miscommunication, right? Blame, but it's to everybody. So, yeah. Because I think it was Itoje who was going to go up for it. So bet on Morrow for. To me, that's the more experienced player has to make the call, and it didn't work out right. So
I don't know that you got it.
Yeah. And Ollie Hassel-Collins was excellent. He made a couple so here when I rewatched this match, the times that it worked out poorly for England was when they kicked and Scotland caught the ball. And Hassel Collins and Malin started out that match just kicking perfectly, just boom, right down the middle where they weren't.
Grass, yep.
And it looked like, and I think I noticed, I think second half, I started to see Scotland, when it was an obvious kick situation, would have 4 guys back there, which that was a killer. That's actually what helped them score the final try. And it was a kick directly to a player, and can't do it. Like when they kicked and made it bounce, they would get the line out in their end, and that's how they were scored. That's how they took the lead, and then they stopped doing that in the second half. And it was
right. And that's
it was Van Poortvliet's kick that Duhan scored off of.
The bad kicks were taken advantage of by Scotland, no doubt.
Right.
And that's the difference of, the team that kicks more wins, but it's what type of kick, how good are the kicks, all those things. If the kicks are dog shit and they're all fucking box kicks that are seen a million miles away, is it really worth it?
Right.
No.
Because the first Vandermerwe try came because of the line out where they got the line break off of Faz. It was Farrell, by the way. When I saw it was him on the replay.
Yeah, it was
tackled down.
I was trying to decide if it was Farrell or Martian that was supposed to have that space, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely Farrell who was supposed to have it, but he wanted to take a whack at Finn, and I kind of don't blame him for it because he was having fun with that.
Not a good idea usually.
Yeah, it didn't work. Finn's actually too good for that. If you hadn't noticed, but that was off they had the penalty because I think it was Hassel Collins kicked directly to a player or somebody kicked directly to a Scotland player, kicked it back to Hassel Collins, and then they got the penalty at the breakdown.
Yes, I remember that. I remember that penalty. I was like, "Ooh, that's probably the worst thing Hassel Collins has done today."
Right.
Was that?
And because he went down. I think he went down too early, or there might have been. I don't remember if that was that or the neck roll on.
No,
Stewart.
that wasn't it.
Then it was the Hassel Collins going down too quickly and kind of running too into a guy instead into space.
Yeah, I don't think it was that. At least let's put it that way.
Yeah,
my brain's fuzzy.
And so it was like all these things added up, and it was just not, just a couple of mistakes and then defensive lapses. The Ben Curry missing that tackle on Ben White. That was criminal. Poor. He took it. He went inside on, he went to where Ben White was never going to go. There's no room for him to go there, and he couldn't pick the ball up and go to his left. And Curry went to his left and just gave up the outside. It's like, where are you even running, dude?
Yeah, you gotta make a better angle than that, and he didn't.
Yeah, and he had his troubles in the loose even around then too. Yeah, there were a couple line breaks that I think where he was kind of loose at the off the scrum and stuff. It's I didn't like what I saw there, so I saw that he was sent back, and that's tough. He'll get his opportunity again though, because they've got a good coach in their system. But I think he needs a little bit more seasoning before he's ready to continue at the international level. Right.
So of the players that we don't see a ton of at international level between the two teams, I'd say and there's probably other names that I'm missing here in terms of what people consider, but just from the list I made, Sione, Chesham, Malins, White, Ludlam, Hassel Collins, and Dom, all pretty good match. Should definitely see more action.
Right.
Kyle Stain, I don't get it.
I don't.
Luke Crosby was a little bit of a ghost, and like you said, Ben Curry he had his problems, and really, if you're gonna have giving up a try and committing a couple knock-ons, I think I'm gonna take the knock-ons and live to fight another day.
Exactly, because he was in position. I meant he was in position and support. He just got to get those, iron some things out right, and then the kickoff they got to, or the restart they got to work on the communication. But that's what happens when guys don't have caps. The communication isn't there because they're not sure. It's hard to take charge of the situation, although they should be able to. Tom Brand as a fucking Prem club captain, yes, he should be able to, but and it's still it's a different level.
And we had, and so obviously I don't think we can ignore my dog. My dog's an idiot. We had Duhan, who was otherworldly. People were talking about him at the World. Did he not play in 2019 for Scotland? Am I making that up in my head? I thought he was there, but it actually makes sense that he wasn't.
I don't think he was
they were so crap.
They were. Hold on, let me see when he started playing for Scotland. No, in 2020. That's when he started playing for Scotland.
Okay, well that makes sense then. All right,
yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, because he was probably. Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Because he played at Edinburgh till. Oh,
Right.
yeah, till 2021. That's when he went to Worcester, and yeah.
All right, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, seeing him at the World Cup is gonna be awesome.
It is. I mean, and Scotland, so enough about England. Scotland played so fucking well.
They did.
They held up. England had them in attack. Dead when they were playing quickly. They had Scotland dead to rights. But England still like to kick the ball, even and when they did it poorly, Scotland just really knew how to take advantage, and that's
they did. Except
such
don't
a big
dog. He knocked another one on.
or Stain like that
I wasn't a fan of that.
No, that inner working didn't quite work out that well.
No. No. And I have to say, like, when it comes to their second row, like if you're gonna have Richie Gray, who actually played out of his skin compared to what we've seen out of him before, and Grant Gilchrist, like, aren't those two guys kind of similar?
They are.
Like, don't you want something a tiny bit of change? Like, and obviously there's might be a tiny bit of change, but like more, maybe a little bit more than that. And then you have Fagerson, who's almost the same thing. Like,
right?
Really? And I get it. They were all three of them were defensively great, but like, you need a ball carrier, and I'm not sure any of those are ball carriers right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, isn't Mish hurt?
Mish is hurt,
and the other funny named fellow,
Darge.
Yes.
Yep.
Sounds like a South Park thing. Darge. Like, without them, I don't know what else they have. Although Bradbury, why isn't he there?
Everybody refuses to pick him, so
I can't. I don't see why, because Fagerson, he was poor.
Yes, defensively great and does some of the grunt work, but
you already have.
You need more at an international level from your number 8,
right?
Like we saw, and I know Don Brandt had his knock-ons, but he still got through the same amount of work.
He did,
and he was more impactful in a lot of ways.
But that's the thing too, is when you have the guys who are just going to do the grunt work, that the more guys you have doing that, the fewer guys you have who can chase. And that's one of the reasons that England really had Scotland in attack. When England had fast ball and were really moving it and really pressing the Scotland defense, they were winning more often than they were losing, which is why you take those knock-ons. Okay, that happens, but we'll reset it and do the same thing, and we're good. They were able to do that because Scotland didn't have anybody to really fetch. Like Crosby, as you said, was okay. Jamie Ritchie was a tackling machine. I don't know his stats, but
they're in there. But I agree. Jamie Ritchie was earning his armband for sure.
Right.
It's
like you need someone else who can.
He's a little more dynamic than anybody else in that back row.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we didn't see the same thing out of Crosby that we saw when he played against Series. So that's disappointing in a lot of ways, because I thought we would see that a lot more, and it was not to be. Richie had
he had 11 tackles. Vagerson had 24.
Yeah. I got 26 on this one.
Oh, okay. Oh wait. I don't know. I guess I'm looking at the fantasy stats from the.
Oh, I'm just looking at I'm looking at official Six Nations.
Oh, weird.
Why
do they have different?
Yeah, well, it's the same thing as like with FRD and Prem. Those numbers are usually different too.
Yeah.
At least FRD shows up all the time. Credit Six Nations, their site usually is on point. They usually don't screw anything up. So
okay.
Yes, 20-odd tackles is fucking phenomenal. Like, there's no denying that. Fagerson helped set up the winning try. So, yes, that's great. But again, you just need a little bit more dynamism from your number 8 in international rugby. And if you're not going to get it from your number 8, you need it from somewhere else. And I don't know where Scotland gets it right now. So that's a little bit of a head scratcher for me in a lot of ways. And I don't think Jack Dempsey brings it either, honestly.
No, but the thing is, I can't knock it because it's working. They as a unit, they play. So this is crazy just to say this about a Gregor Townsend team. They played better than some of their parts.
Some of the whole, yeah.
Like you're right. They have all these guys that you're like, yeah, but it worked. They played a very, good game and listen. Yeah, it helps that. Their back line is ridiculously talented, and that helps a lot to cover up for some things. But it's still there. Like you'd still generally would need a better pack to put on a performance like that. So
yes, and you don't want to bank on that every time,
right?
To a point,
you can't, right? Because there's now if another team takes away option A, if they play some solid defense and kick to touch instead of kicking right down the touch line, and in a place where Duhan van der Merwe lives.
No joke.
Yeah, don't do that. Kick to touch. Yeah,
kick to touch, kick to space. Don't kick right down somebody's freaking neck, man.
Yeah,
it's not going to go well.
Bad too.
Bad idea. Bad idea.
They'll make you pay, and that's kind of it's a little bit of a cheat code, but they've got that cheat code, so now you got to
don't kick it anywhere near them.
Yeah,
I know. It's the one good thing that Stain and Hogg both did, and they cocked it up together. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, the little line break,
that break down the sideline.
Yeah.
Oy.
I was almost like, it's one of those.
I was waiting to see how they screw it up. Honestly,
right? Exactly.
I'm so cynical,
but it's like, I don't think this is the game where a Stein or a Hogg score a try. It doesn't seem like that game. You know what I mean? Like, nope. and it wasn't. So I was like, okay, look, we know it. This is what this segment will prove. If it's going to be this kind of party, or if we got ourselves like an actual game,
it's going to be that kind of party.
Yeah. And as it turned out, no, they're not. They are what we thought they were.
Yeah. Agreed. Let's go to Rome. And I did not have this on my bingo board as a match. Like, I knew Italy would come out with some passion and some intensity, but to run the defending Grand Slam champions
to the end,
5 points close, I definitely did not have that down, and they probably could have won this game. Honestly,
they had a line out in the 5 meter line.
Yeah. And
that was game, and they fucked up them all.
They did.
But they had the opportunity. It was there, and that they earned it. Like, that's the kind of the heartbreak for a team like this, because it's
in these games they'll figure out ways to close that out. And they won some games recently. But the more times they put themselves in those situations, the better it will be for them overall. And if I'm an Italian rugby fan, I am encouraged by Michele Lamoureau's interview afterwards. Like, he's like, yeah, we were passionate and we were very, we were full of heart, but that's not going to win you games. So we need to be more accurate. And I was just like,
yeah,
he wants more. And I am so excited if I'm an Italian rugby fan right now, because the captain demands more than what you saw, and you saw a damn good performance. So I'm impressed.
What else is there to say? That it's down to margins now between you and France. Like, this whole going in for a 5 meter maul try that it gets held up, or that gets held in the maul. That's something that would happen every time when Italy played France. Like, not like every time they had that opportunity, turnover. Like, we got something good. All right, no turnover. Fuck. Like, now you own, like, it's happening at the very end of the match. And that's like, okay, that's it. Is we got to make sure we close this out. Really, like, we can't let down our guard at any point. Like, you learn from it, and to know that that's the difference. Oh, it's so encouraging. Because again, that's that France team. That's one of the favorites to win the World Cup. We were talking about the Mystique. this is where Italy knows we have to play our A+ game plus some. That's the plus some, that last small.
Yep.
But to know you played your best game and that's enough to be in the game. Okay, we got that's
right.
Goosebumpies.
People are saying, well, France committed so many penalties. Italy forced them into a lot of those penalties.
Yeah.
Like, don't take the credit away from the Italians. Like, they forced them into those penalties a lot. And a lot of it was, and yes, Italy bit themselves in the butt a couple times. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have to get into this. Dowie Morrison, you are a fucking asshole for using the word suicide. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you and fuck the horse you rode it on. Shut up and shut up forever. You're an asshole for using that in any context in sports. Go fuck yourself. Jesus Christ. Sorry. I had to get into that.
He was also a douche. The whole
he's a douche anyway, and that's not so it shouldn't be surprising, but it's incredibly fucked up. Like this is your profession. Find another fucking way to put that besides suicide. You're a fucking douchebag, and I hope that you never, ever have to experience that in your life. And if you have, and you're still using this term, then you're even dumber than I think you are. Period. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. There's no need to have him calling games anyway.
No.
So,
no.
Fuck, hold on. I thought I could have sworn we
like self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Like, that is the easiest way to put it without bringing in anything like that. Like, do not compare anything in sports to an event like that in someone's life that happens. Like, you're a fucking idiot. You are somebody that makes this world worse with the words you use.
Yeah.
You stupid fuck. Ugh. Oh man, I almost threw shit through the window when I heard that. I was so mad. Ugh, so fucked up. Sorry, I had to get into that.
Yeah. Understood.
Oosa. Okay.
On the other side, how good was Lorenzo Cannoni
yes. Let's get it back into the Italian, because that's what made me happy.
Right.
Yes, they had ambition, and yes, Cannoni was great, and Brex was otherworldly. I thought Brex was one of the best players on the weekend, let alone in this game. Like, and you just got to find him a partner to be a tiny bit better. And I didn't think Morrissey was that bad, but
he wasn't bad.
You know, I think to
somebody, but his partner was basically Cannoni.
Yeah, in a lot of ways,
and it worked pretty well because I don't think France knew what was coming there. Because he had a lot of gaps to run through. They were keying off of other players, obviously, and and Cannoni took a major advantage of it for almost 70 minutes. Allen, I thought, played a hell of a match himself.
Yeah, he was. The boots were letting them down for both him and Varney. Everything else was great. Those were the things that were letting them down, and it's a little bit of nerves, probably a little bit of experience in a game like this at this level. It'll come.
Right.
It'll come.
Because here's the thing. Here'd be my question to you, sir. If he had hit his conversion from the Capozzo try, you're kicking for points at the end of the match, right? Instead of kicking to the corner.
Right. Because that'll give you the win. Or no, I'll give you the tie.
No, give you the tie. I'd have a hard think about that.
I would too, and I can appreciate someone not going for the tie, and that's the thing.
Right, so. I could too, but it gives you that option anyway to because man, so that if
it's me, we probably end up with the same result. But point being, is it is more helpful if he's able to, you know.
Yeah,
conversions were kind of the problem for a lot of teams this weekend.
They were.
You know, Ramos had his kicking boots out.
Right.
Finn wasn't amazing, and neither was Farrell.
No.
In the second match. In the first match, like, Biggs had issues, and so did, and they were trying all these things.
Bigger
had his boots on.
Yeah.
No, boots on.
They were perfect in the first match.
In the first match, they were good. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? When there's only two from Wales, it's hard to keep track.
Exactly.
It's hard to think that you had a good day off the tee but you only had two. So
one penalty, one conversion. Yeah.
Sexton had a good one too, though. But anyway, so, and for the French, it's probably a little bit of a tear your hair out type of stuff for them, because we saw in this game both sides of how good and how bad they can be.
Right.
Like we saw some brilliance from Intimac,
Mhm.
unquestionably, like with the foot, just putting it on dimes. I'm just
He was brilliant. And I mean, obviously Jalibert was fucking amazing on his try too.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's so like every player you look down that list and you're like, they all had a great game. And then you also look at them and you're like, you know what? Oh, I remember him fucking that up. Oh, I remember him fucking that up too.
Yep.
Like but again, we don't, if we're being fair, we judge them by the overall play, not just the worst or their best.
Mhm.
They all played pretty well. That's the thing. Like, it's not, and it's not as though France played a terrible match that kept Italy in it. They both played this was throwing their best at each other, both these teams. And it's just cool that Italy's best is a little bit better than we've seen from them in the past.
Right. Italy held the ball the most.
Crazy.
Says a lot. Yeah.
But yeah, France played a hell of a match. They, that was one of those, like, this is going to help them too, because they're getting pushed, or like, Italy are a damn good team. They're not anything you can look past now. And France went in there and won on the road when they
could have. This
could have been their French match, and they chose to. They still played out of their minds. I mean, they were they had 3 tries in the first 30 minutes. They were showing up.
Yeah, it's not to say they weren't
right. Yeah, yeah. So, like, good on Italy for making it that match, especially with the penalty at half.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, oh, you know what? We're not out of this yet. This is not one to turn off.
They needed that one, right? I was watching it and I'm like, they need something before they go into the break, and they're in this.
Yeah.
And thankfully they did. And
yep.
And I don't have a whole lot of things to say against Matthew Carley. My only criticism ever of Carley is that he's super strict. He's kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But who was for this? It was someone else who I thought, was it Foley for this?
Yeah, I think so.
So I was expecting like a whole bunch. I was expecting I was expecting the referees to be assholes, and no, you're right. Yeah. Same comment from Dickskin I have for Carley, that they acquitted themselves acceptably.
Mm-hmm. I can't. It wasn't much to find.
I would like to see them ref like this in the Prem.
Yeah, same.
That's my comment. Let's make it positive. I'd like to see this level of performance on a consistent basis from both of these referees.
Yeah. And last note, we can't forget about Capuzzo and his try. He beat Altered to get it down. Like, come on, that's not a nobody. That's not a nobody. That's one of the best number 8s in the world.
And so here's the thing. Varney saw it too.
He did. He realized what was on the other end. He's like, all right, I need to exploit this.
They took a look at each other. They saw they and went for it. Like, that's good. First off, that's great chemistry. But second off, that's good teamwork. Ben Youngs. Oh, hey, look, that guy's gonna make a wrap around me. Okay, cool. You know what I'll do? I'll just stop and wait my time, and oh wait, now he's already there. Oh shit, now I got to kick. What the fuck, dude? Like,
yeah, I remember that one going, ooh, that's
what are you doing? Like, you made it was the exact same lines that were being run, and he just hung Malins out to dry. And it's like, whereas Varney, are you going to tell me that Varney is right now is a better scrum half than Ben? I guess I am, because that's like, he's the one who was able to help see that play, make that play, and obviously, fucking amazing Capuzzo, that finish, and to be able to have the athleticism to make that play, just
right.
Well done, sir.
Very good, very good.
But I had to make sure we talk about our scrum halfery here, because
a little bit, yep.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, as far as nines go on the weekend, Varney wasn't the worst.
No, I'd venture to say that he was
in there. Yeah, the
third or fourth. depending on how you want to rank Connor Murray.
Right. Yeah. I think we can just chuck the Welsh Nines to the bottom. They were both pretty poor.
And honestly, I nothing against him, but Van Voortvliet, I know it was this 8th cap or something. He still has less than and he's 21. He had a little bit of the white line fevers. He had a little bit of the I don't know how else to put it. There was a lot of
the jitters, maybe.
Yeah, jitters. Like he was really he was pressing to make a play rather than just making the play that was there. And that's
you
got to work that through. But that's what happens when you have one guy with 121 caps who's not
international level anymore.
Right.
Yeah. And and on Van Voortvliet, I thought the one knock on him has been his service. I thought it was perfect.
It was.
There's at least that.
There were a couple, but it was like when he was trying to do too much and he kind of threw a shit pass to somebody who wasn't expecting it because they didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
Not on the same page.
Right. And there was that, but other than that, like when he wanted to go somewhere, like that was his ability to run. Like I remember when people were talking about Harry Randall and how out of shape he was because he was behind the play. That was very evident to me now watching Van Voortvliet get around the pitch. Like there'd be a line break. They'd go 30 meters up across the entire field. And he's right there feeding that ball out like it's nothing, what a,
it's
his work level. Great. And his right. And then throwing a good pass off of it.
Yeah.
Like amazing. He's going to be a great scrum half.
Yes, he is.
And he should, let's get him some more caps.
Sure we will.
And Alex Mitchell, who can play at a similar level also.
See him probably this weekend.
Cool. Giggity.
All right. That's fantasy pod for us, our rugby pod for us.
Just a rugby pod.
Fantasy pod's coming up. That's coming up. We are going to get into that. We'll go over to the fantasy corner. I feel like I've had more than Ben, and I definitely haven't. If you're not coming over to the fantasy corner, we do appreciate you hanging out with us. Fantasy Rugby Podcast at gmail.com. Questions, tweet at Ben or I. Rankings will be out again on Friday for these guys. I will do something next week with Boom Bust. I just got caught up with bullshit this week. So I will do something next week and compile kind of the 2 weeks window here we've had with Six Nations before we dive back into Prem. But other than that, appreciate you all for listening to us and enjoy round 2 of the rugby, and we'll see you all then. Have a good one.
Later.